Hi, everyone, and welcome to the beginning of week 4. We are officially one quarter of the way through the semester. A little scary, only because we are actually getting ready to wrap up Word and start practicing for your final MOS exam for Word. Before we do that, I do want to quickly go through my IT lab before I show you how to conduct your homework this week. If you haven't, you need to do this, and I suspect you have all done this, but it's a little hard for me to kind of tell if you have. You should have gone through tools at the very beginning of the semester 3 weeks ago and gone and clicked on Pearson's My Lab and Mastering to register for Pearson's My IT Lab. Once you were done with that, then you would have stayed within our Blackboard course shell and gone to Pearson's My IT Lab. Please only go through Pearson's My IT Lab here. This helps to pair your grades, meaning anything done in My IT Lab, which is the majority of your homework, will then be dumped back into Blackboard so that at the end of the semester I don't have to try to get all of your grades from my IT lab into Blackboard. I don't want to make any mistakes. Let's go in the to do. You will be going to do here. Once you've done that, I tell students don't use the calendar one. You can, it just looks a little bit different. You will notice that I have completed this week's work. So I'm going to go to completed. And once you're in there, then you're going to download the materials. Um, you can download all of them if you would like. Some students have said that they've had some problems with the zip drive, so you may want to download them one at a time. I have not had any issues. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this picture, and the reason why is because I know that we're going to be using that, and then I'm going to make sure that I paste it in there. And so there is a picture here. And then you will download these are the instructions. And then this is your student file that you need. And I will just go ahead and do that. I am going to go ahead at this time and save. The fastest way to save is F12 or save as, not save, but save as. And so I am going to do save. And once that is done, then we are ready to go ahead and get started. So I'm going to turn on, I had the show hide on just for a second. I'm going to turn it back on. My movie last week, I think I told you I'm not a fan of show hide, shows the paragraph markings. But in your homework this week, it does talk about making sure that you've got, you highlight the headings, but it also says to be sure to grab the paragraph markings. So that's why I have it on, just to make sure that I've got these. So in the instructions, and let me just minimize this and show you the instructions for this week. I'm moving on now to number 2, and let me pick these up and move these over. Before I forget, oh my goodness, you really, really, really need to complete your simulated. I know that it shows in mine that I hadn't completed mine, but it is done. So please, you need to do that first this week. It's a little bit tougher if you don't do your simulated first. I noticed this week for the first time that the simulated is directly from the book. And so I will show you again this week what book to use when you go in. Make sure that you pull the very first download down for your book, your ebook, your e-text, and that's in a video from our announcements page that I stuck on there last week. So please make sure that you watch that if you haven't. The book does match the page numbers that are within the weekly learning modules that I've created. And a couple of people had said they don't, but they do. So watch this video from last week if you haven't done so yet. Okay, let's go ahead and get started on our homework. So in question number two, step number two, it says to change the font color of the first three lines. That'll be university, health, and volume all the way through the date. And then change the font color to green or olive green, accent 3, darker 25%. And I'm going to stop here for 1 second. I would like to tell you that these will never change. The colors will change depending what theme you're in, but you see how when I hover it says lighter 80% and then they go down. This will always be 50, this will always be 20, this will always be 25. So I need you to start kind of memorizing when it tells you in the instructions to go down to darker 25, you know that it's the second from the bottom. Remember, you've got 50 minutes on this exam, and there will probably be about 40 questions. And that's roughly a minute a question. So just a little bit more. So just be mindful of that. So now we're going to apply a 3-point bottom border in black, text 1. I'm going to go ahead and go down to borders and shading, and we want to do a 3-point, and it's going to be black, text 1, and we want bottom border. And we're not going to do anything else in here. We are now done. So just click OK. Step 3, press Control Home. That takes you to the top. Use online pictures to search for an image using the term physician symbols. So online pictures, and then you will type physician and then symbols and enter. And I like this one. Go ahead, you will click your show all, click that, and then you will click insert. And after you've inserted your picture, you are going to do some formatting to this. Let me go back just for a second. It says note for Mac users, search for an image in a web browser and then download and insert a relevant image from the results. You might have to do that even if you're not a Mac user. So, if you're on the internet and you have to do a right click to, let's say, to save an image, then to insert it, you would just go to your insert and then use this instead of the online pictures. That's all that means. Next, leave this selected and set the height image to 1. So that's Picture Tools format. All the way over to the right, type a 1 and then enter. Change the brightness contrast to brightness 0. So we're going to go over to where you see the sunshine icon, and we're going to go all the way down to the bottom because we want brightness and we want the normal to be set at 0 and the contrast to be set at plus 40. And then change the text wrapping to square. So wrap text square. Change the horizontal alignment of the image, and to do that we need to go into Picture Tools, Format, Position, More Layout Options. For horizontal, we're going to do alignment, left to the margin, and vertical alignment, top, and also to the margin, and click OK. Starting with the paragraph Dogs for Healing, select all of the text from that point to the end. The fastest way to do it is not to use your mouse, but to do Control, Shift, and then End. That is a quick way to do it. The other way is to go ahead and pick up your mouse, left click, and then all the way down. Just remember 50 minutes, 40 questions on the test, so you will need to practice your shortcut keys. Starting with this selected, you are now going to point at the end of the document. So now we're going to change the spacing after to 10 point. And I'm going to just say OK. And then we're going to format the selected text into two columns. So we are changing the design, I guess, or not design, the layout. So you're going to go into columns and you're going to select two. So again, that's layout, and then in the page setup group, columns, and you want two. And then you're going to apply justify alignment. I got a kick out of doing this because rarely do we get a chance to use justify alignment. This is left, centered, right, and then justify. And then you saw that change. Now we're going to insert a column break before the subheading cuddles. Column break is just like a page break, but it's a little bit different. So we need to be careful that you actually choose the right break. So we're going to go back into layout and we're going to go into breaks. And you're going to click on the little drop down arrow and you're going to choose column. Step 5 is click at the beginning of the sentence that begins with Brandy is a 6-year-old beagle. And from the files that we downloaded with the project when we first started, let's insert the picture of Brandy. I'm not for sure where you saved yours. Make sure you find it. And now we're going to rotate the picture using flip horizontal. In the picture tools format group, and by the way, once you've inserted something, you're going to have some kind of a tools pop up. It might be an object or picture for this case. And then you'll have format because we're going to do some formatting. So once it's selected, you know that it is. These are called selection handles. We're going to go over to the arrange group and rotate, and we are going to flip horizontal. So you can see that she changes, and so we want it to be horizontal. And next, we are going to change the width, and make sure you're in width and not height. Height is always on top and then the width, and we want the width to be 1, and then push enter. Step 2 is change the wrapping style of the picture, and I'll go up, it's still selected. The wrapping style, and we want square. And now everything is moved up to one page. Change the horizontal alignment to right, and so you remember how we did that before. We're going to go into position down to more layout options. We want the horizontal alignment to be right relative to the margin, and the vertical alignment to be top relative to the line. And then click OK. Now we're going to give this a little bit of pop. So let's apply a black text 1 picture border. So we're still in picture tools format, picture border, black text 1. We're going to go back in and change the weight to 2 1/4. And now you're going to save. We've already done a save as, and now we're just saving. Step 7 is a little bit different, and again you need to read your instructions or your book first and then do the simulation and then make this move. So I do like this. This is kind of a cool way to do it. We're going to be using the snippet tools, but we're not going to go this way to do it. So the first thing that you need to do is to bring up your web browser, and you are going to go to www.ada.gov and then QASRVC.htm. And once you bring that up, you're going to leave it where it's at and bring your project back up again. And you are going to go to the end of the paragraph below the dog's healing subheading, so end of the paragraph, and we're going to then insert a screenshot. And you will be going to, and you can see that it's thinking. We're going to be going to the web page, and just click on that. And then you're going to apply the black text 1 color, and then we're going to go back into picture border and change the weight to 1. And step 8, it says to select the subheading Dogs for Healing, and including the paragraph mark. And again, that's why I have my show hide on. And now we're going to go to the font dialog box. So let's use our launcher. And once we're in here, we are going to change the size to 16. Apply bold. We want small caps, and we're going to change the font color to olive green, accent 3, darker 50%. And I like to wait. I know that it's this one, but when you hover, the answer shows up. It says what you're on. And go ahead and click OK. So it's a little bit big, and it's moved everything down, which is fine. Now you're going to go ahead and click on your format painter. You're going to double click. Clicking it once turns it on one time. We have multiple subheadings that we want to format, so double click. And you are going to change benefits to patients, cuddles, and then brandy. To turn it off, you can either press your escape key, which is the fastest, or pick up your mouse and move over to format. Again, the fastest way to do it is just hit your escape, and that turns it off, and you'll know that it's turned off because it's not gray any longer. Now select the last paragraph in the newsletter, and they also want you to include the paragraph mark and then apply a 1-point shadow border. So let's go into borders and shadowing, and we want shadow, and we want 1 point, and the color will be black text 1. And next we're going to go to shading, and the fill color will be olive green accent 3, lighter 80%, and click OK. When I got done with this the first time, I was concerned, and the reason being is because we're now on 2 pages. So there really isn't any rhyme or reason why they have it like that. You should be fine going to submit. So go ahead and choose a file and upload it, and then submit for grading. That's it for this week. I don't have anything else. Nice and easy. If you have any questions, you know what to do, and that is to use the Ask My Instructor a question. And this homework was nice and easy. Before I forget, the simulated reading, the practice that you're going to do is quite extensive this week. It took me a while to do it. It took me a couple of hours. Please make sure that you are good managers of your time. The homework isn't that hard, what we just did. You can see that I got 100. It's the simulated reading that's going to be a kicker for you this week. All right, everyone. Good luck.